Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive with us. Today, we're going to be tackling innovation in the corporate world. But, and this is a big but, we're not just going to be talking about the usual buzzwords and frameworks. We're going really deep, I think, into the mindset and the environment that's really needed to generate true breakthroughs. We're going to be unpacking a conversation between two experts, and they have decades of experience in this arena. And their insights, I got to say, are anything but conventional.
Yeah, they kind of throw the rule book out right from the start.
Yeah.
They actually compare innovation to a vortex.
A vortex.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, they're really emphasizing the unpredictable nature of innovation. It's not a linear process. You can just, follow A to B to C to get your result. It's more like this swirling mix of unexpected connections and experiences that suddenly collide. And boom, something new emerges.
So no neat and tidy formulas for guaranteed results.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But how do you even begin to navigate that kind of environment?
Well, they actually caution against getting too attached to those tried and true frameworks. All the 3 C's and 5 P's we all learn in business school.
That sounds about coming.
They argue that rigidly clinging to those frameworks can actually stifle truly disruptive innovation. I mean, the business landscape is changing so rapidly. And, you can get so attached to those familiar models that they can actually blind you to those truly groundbreaking shifts that are happening all around you.
It's like trying to navigate a jungle with a street map. You might get somewhere eventually.
Yeah.
But you're going to miss all the good stuff, right?
Precisely. And they actually highlight the importance of actively seeking out unconventional experiences. One of the experts even recounted a time that they spent at a Thai Buddhist monastery, completely disconnecting from the familiar, and how that experience really helped them gain a fresh perspective on their work.
Okay, that sounds tempting right about now, we'll be honest.
Okay.
But how do we translate that into something actionable for our listeners? I mean, most of whom probably can't just jet off to a monastery at a moment's notice.
Yeah, and that's where the concept of unconventional gets really interesting. Because it doesn't have to be something that drastic. The experts really stress that it's more about, pushing your boundaries, challenging those assumptions, and actively seeking out experiences that just disrupt your routine thinking.
So what are some examples? Give us some inspiration.
Okay, well, they suggest things like interacting with people from, radically different backgrounds and value systems, immersing yourself in a brand new field of study, or even something as simple as taking a different route to work each day. Anything that just shakes up your perspective, exposes you to new ways of thinking.
I love that. It's like those brain breaks we used to do in school.
Yeah.
But for your whole life. Speaking of shaking things up, they also talk about the importance of storytelling, specifically the drama of innovation. Tell me more about that.
They really believe in using engaging narratives and real-life stories to illustrate those innovation principles. It's about making those concepts come alive and really resonate with people on a much deeper level. One really powerful example that they use is the story of Mattel, the company behind Barbie, and the crisis that they faced after the iPhone debuted.
Ah, yes. The rise of the iPhone.
Yeah.
And the decline of traditional toys. That's a classic innovation drama. But how does that relate to the point they're making?
Well, it really highlights the unpredictable nature of innovation and the absolute need for adaptability. I mean, nobody could have foreseen how the iPhone would completely revolutionize children's playtime habits. Suddenly, kids were glued to screens instead of playing with physical toys.
So what was Mattel's response? Did they just throw in the towel?
They had to completely rethink their strategy and find ways to integrate their products into this new digital world. It was a really painful and disruptive process. But ultimately, it forced them to innovate and adapt.
Sounds like a real-life David and Goliath story. But with Barbies and iPhones. I'm hooked. What else did they have to say?
Well, this is cool. They actually suggest crowdsourcing real-life innovation dramas from listeners to enrich future courses and workshops. They really believe that hearing about these challenges and these triumphs from a diverse range of people would be just incredibly valuable for learning and growth.
That's a brilliant idea. It's like creating a collective knowledge base of innovation stories drawn from real-world experiences. Now, I'm curious, have you ever experienced like a personal innovation drama?
I suppose you could say that my decision to leave a comfortable corporate job and start my own consulting business was a bit of a drama.
Really? Tell me more.
Honestly, it was a combination of things. I had, been reading about some of these ideas, about unconventional thinking and seeking out those new experiences. And I just realized that I was craving more autonomy and the freedom to really pursue my own ideas.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like what we were just talking about with Mattel.
Mm.
Sometimes you have to disrupt your own status quo to really innovate. But it couldn't have been an easy decision.
Yeah.
What were some of the biggest challenges you faced?
Well, fear was a big one. Fear of failure, fear of the unknown, fear of, disappointing people who had invested in my career. But I also had this nagging feeling that if I didn't take the leap, I would always regret it.
I see. So how did you finally overcome those fears? What advice would you give to someone else who's maybe grappling with a similar decision?
I think it's really important to acknowledge the fear, but don't let it paralyze you. I sought out mentors and advisors who had been through similar experiences, people who could offer guidance and support. And ultimately, I just had to trust my gut and believe in my own abilities.
That's such an inspiring story. It really speaks to the power of, embracing risk and pushing past those comfort zones. Okay, so we've talked about unconventional experiences, the importance of storytelling, and even, touched on the emotional aspects of innovation with your personal story there. But these experts also threw out another interesting concept, the wow factor. What do they mean by that?
Well, they really believe in incorporating surprising facts or insights that challenge assumptions and really spark curiosity. It's about making people go, wow, I never thought of it that way before, and prompting them to kind of reevaluate their own perceptions.
Okay, I'm all about those mind-blowing moments. What kind of examples did they give?
Well, one that really stuck with me was the fact that the very first canned pet food was made with horse meat.
Horse meat.
Yep.
Really, now that's a wow factor, but what's the point? Why bring up something so seemingly random?
Well, it highlights how innovation can sometimes involve utilizing readily available, but often overlooked resources. So, in the early 1900s, with the rise of automobiles, horses became less essential for transportation,
Right.
leading to a surplus of horse meat. And somebody saw an opportunity in this waste product and thought, why not use it to create a convenient and affordable food for pets?
So it's about spotting opportunities that others might miss, seeing potential, where others only see problems. It makes you wonder, what horse meat is lurking in our world today, just waiting to be transformed into the next big thing?
And that's exactly the point they make. They challenge us to think about the parallels with today's world, where AI is poised to disrupt tons of industries and potentially even create a surplus of human resources.
So they're suggesting we need to start thinking about how to utilize this potential surplus of human talent in innovative ways, kind of like how horse meat became an ingredient in pet food. That's a fascinating analogy,
Right.
but honestly a little unsettling.
It definitely raises some important questions about the future of work and the role of human creativity in an increasingly automated world. And that's actually where the conversation takes another interesting turn. They shift from these big picture ideas to something a little more practical, focusing on how to actually cultivate an innovation mindset within an organization.
Okay, let's dive into that. I'm eager to hear what they have to say.
Yeah.
So how do we create a space where innovation can flourish? It's like you need structure, but too much can stifle creativity. How'd they address that?
Two key elements: psychological safety and diversity of thought.
Okay, but what do those look like in practice?
Psychological safety means people feel comfortable taking risks, experimenting, even making mistakes without fear of judgment or, repercussions.
So not just a suggestion box, but a culture where people really feel safe sharing their ideas, even the crazy ones.
Exactly. It's trust and open communication, so people feel empowered to challenge assumptions and offer new perspectives.
What about diversity of thought?
Bringing people together from different backgrounds, different disciplines, different experiences. It's a real melting pot of perspectives to challenge conventional thinking and spark unexpected connections.
Right. If everyone's got the same background, same perspective, you just end up with the same old ideas.
Exactly. They had this really interesting analogy, the court jester.
The court jester. How does that fit into corporate innovation?
Well, the court jester was often the only one who could speak truth to power, using humor and satire to point out things others wouldn't.
So we need to hire jesters to roam the halls, poking fun at everything.
Not literally, but every team needs people who can question assumptions, think unconventionally, push boundaries. They called them rebels.
I love that. Gotta have those rebels to shake things up. But how do you create a space where they can actually thrive?
Goes back to psychological safety. It's an environment where those dissenting voices are encouraged. You got to value those different perspectives, recognize they're essential for real innovation.
This has been so insightful, going way beyond the usual buzzwords, getting to the heart of the mindset and the cultural shifts to make truly groundbreaking ideas happen.
And remember, it's not just about learning some method. It's about cultivating that mindset. of curiosity, openness, willingness to embrace what's unconventional.
So what are some takeaways for our listeners?
Well, they left us with some good questions to think about. What unconventional experiences could you seek out to shake up your own thinking?
I like that, a call to action. Step outside our comfort zones.
Think about how you can build psychological safety and diversity of thought in your own work.
And don't forget the horse meat. What overlooked resources are out there, waiting to be turned into something innovative.
Their final thought was this: in a world shaped by AI, thinking differently is our most valuable asset.
So true. It's about honing those uniquely human skills: creativity, critical thinking, problem solving. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. I hope you leave with a renewed sense of curiosity and a willingness to embrace the unconventional. See you next time.